Nairo Fukuzumi make it to that pole position. There is Antoine Hubert, who has been very impressive so far this season. And Fukuzumi has still not made it to his slot, and this is why. ART mechanics on a day that ART could seal the team's title, finding themselves with a lot of work to do at the moment. So potentially good news for that man there. Jack Aitken seeming very calm indeed. Aitken said there will be great overtaking opportunities, and working hard to make up ground in the championship was his aim at the start of the weekend. It was a long day of not very much, a frustrating one for the GP3 drivers, but what a difference a day makes. You can see the sunshine is out, track temperature is 18 degrees, air temperature only 14. It's pretty chilly out there, it's pretty brisk, but they will just be delighted to get out there and go racing around this famous old circuit that runs to 5.7 kilometers, 3.6 miles, and we hope for Stein Stotthorst's sake that he is able to improve today. One of only 2 regular drivers in the field, as he speaks to his driver trainer Guido van der Gaard there. One of only 2 drivers in the field who've competed in every round but yet to score a point. Another man looking for points today, Leonardo Pulcini, on the podium in his first outing earlier in the season of Barcelona, but now he has not scored in all of the races since. He will be desperate to get back on the board, and I think we're running out of time for Nairo. Disappointment, dejection, and not the way that he would have wanted to start things. ART are allowed to work on that in the pit lane, but you can see we've got to the point where we need to clear the grid, but don't forget the fan there for Arjun Maini's car. So they all have to be clear of the grid by the time that we go down. There's the sound, you hear the klaxon that tells you that we are getting just 10 seconds away. You've got to be clear of a certain margin. You can see a lot of dry ice there on the racetrack ahead of the Genza. There is our points leader as they head away from the grid, and Nairo Fukuzumi, a pole position that he had. Oh, a staller there is Dorian Boccolacci. Can he get going? He can, and he gets going before everyone's passed him, so Boccolacci will be able to retake his position on the grid, which is going to be 5th in terms of the grid slots, but will be 4th by the time that they get down to turn number 1, because bitter disappointment for the Honda junior driver, Nairo Fukuzumi. He has been very impressive this season, running toe-to-toe. He is the driver 3rd in the championship, but this has surely, in the only race GP3 will run this weekend, ended his title aspirations with that issue at the end of the pit lane as he tried to go round on his installation lap to the grid. And so, assuming his position at the head of the field, George Russell with 1 less teammate to worry about, but 2 behind, and Fukuzumi they're still working with. You can see the technician there with the laptop plugged into the car. And you've got to feel for Nairo. Really like the quote he had about taking this first ever pole position. He said he was satisfied to top practice and inherit pole, but he wanted to do it on the racetrack at the next round. And that is a super attitude to have, and a super sight there as we looked back down. How wonderful is it to see Monza in the morning sunshine after the torrid day that all of the fans around this circuit that make the atmosphere so special had. Well, just one thing to recap: Russell's advantage over Aitken in the standings. You can see that Fukuzumi had closed on Aitken. He was very much in the battle, but that is surely over now. We are in to the really vital stage of the season, where one move can make the difference, or one failure can cost you everything. That seems to be how it is. You could also see Giuliano Alesi is out of position there. He is the splitting driver of the ARTs. He's way down the field today in 13th. A reminder that if you weren't with us yesterday, this grid has been comprised of the practice order. So in Belgium, ART were well down in 13th, 14th, 15th and 16th in practice. So if we'd had a rained out session in Belgium, we would have had ART in the middle of the pack, but they did do a qualifying simulation, and with the weather forecast, that was the sensible thing to do. There is Charlie Whiting up bright and early and ready to get the 20 in the field if Fukuzumi can get going from the pit lane. 19 on the grid. The one driver change is the 14 car just pulling into his slot on the right hand side. Dan Ticktum of Great Britain, and the work continues for Fukuzumi, who, remember, just needs to get going when the last car passes the pit lane. That is when he would get the green light, but that is looking unlikely. The GP3 drivers have had to wait an awfully long time to get to this position, but now we have the green flag and 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights at Monza when they go out. We'll be underway for the only race this weekend. Great getaway from Russell, exactly what he needed, and Aitken trying to immediately challenge his teammate Hubert as they go down to the first turn. Who is going to break latest? Are we going to see any drama there? Maney's locking up. Is he going to make the corner? Is there going to be contact? There is contact there. Stockhorst off the road. Pulcini off the road. Are they going to be able to rejoin without causing any major issues? Yes, they are. And they all battle through with Hubert putting a lot of pressure on Aitken for second position in this race immediately as they head down to the Della Roja chicane. And it's very close with Russell in the lead and Hubert moving on up and taking second position, but a big crash in the background. Leo Pulcini has mounted the Genza and it makes heavy contact with the barrier to surely bring out the safety car. Multiple cars off the road, but he had almost, well, he'd mounted that car long before they got to the braking zone, and he was just a passenger. That was distressing to see. Hopefully they are both okay, the Tech Pro there to do its job. It's the reason that we have tarmac runoff, but still yellow flag out, but no safety car deployed. Surely that requires a safety car or a virtual safety car at the very least. We've got 2 cars in the barrier, but Seabat getting very close indeed, and the safety car has been deployed now. And one Manuel Correa was losing out there. The other car involved was Alessio Lorandi. Here he is. Alessio Lorandi standing out of the car, and, well, that would have been a scary moment, seeing Pulcini linked to his car, attached to his car as they went into the braking zone, and both of them were passengers. And so we managed all of 3/4 of a lap after waiting all weekend to get going. You can see how despondent he is. Spoke on stage earlier in the weekend about his pride of being an Italian driver racing at Monza. He was in the points, but no longer. The 2 Italians coming together at the Della Roja chicane, the second chicane on this circuit, and it's a sad sight in the morning for Lorandi. It's a little bit of encouragement from the marshal, but bizarre accident, because I've never seen 2 cars join together for that amount of time. And the medical staff there are attending to Leonardo Pulcini as we see the safety car moving away there. A lot of this stuff is precautionary. They go through a important procedure. It was a big hit, really was a big hit for Leo Pulcini as he went into the barrier. Tatiana Calderon has had contact elsewhere on the racetrack. That really was a frenetic opening lap. I think a lot of the frustration and determination so we are under the safety car early in this race on lap 2. Hubert doing nicely there to take the position away, having lost it at the first turn. He stayed calm. He didn't try a late lunge, and he tried to improve. Stotthorst improving from the start of the race and improving up in the order there. So Stotthorst, who started in 6th, now finds himself up to 4th. And the order is Russell, Hubert, Aitken, Stotthorst, Kari and Boccolacci. So Nico Kari, what an opening lap for him. Had to check the timing screen twice. Kari starting himself in 14th position. And race control will be having a little check to make sure that he got there. If he's made those places legally, that is a storming response for the Finnish driver, who found out at the last race that he would not be continuing with the Red Bull Junior Driver Program, and another driver with some bubbling frustration that he has used to great effect. He got a shot there, and we don't want to see this early on a Sunday. The marshals taking a while to extract him. I'm hearing in my ear that he is moving inside the car, so it is all right for the moment. Just taking a little while to get out. I imagine he's pretty winded considering the speed that they're doing into the second chicane. So the field have to keep tyre temperature and brake temperature up. Lacey was able to improve a couple of positions there. As we see Lorandi surveying what remains of his Genza, and unfortunately his entire weekend lasting just a few corners. Officially, the second chicane turns 4 and 5. As the medical team continue to assist Leonardo Pulcini, who had run wide. He had cut the first chicane, taken the polystyrene chicane through the first turn, and then making contact that bound the cars together into the braking zone. Very unusual accident, and the reason that we're behind this safety car early in the Monza sunshine. So Raul Hyman got himself up from 15th on the grid to 8th position. Hyman, who is a race winner this year, and had 6 of them so far. Russell, Maney, Fukuzumi, Aiken, Hyman, who I mentioned, and Giuliano Alesi, who has been the king of a Sunday morning. But that is going, of course, usually with the assistance of the reverse grid, something that they will not get this weekend. That race officially cancelled. We have 2 rounds to run for the rest of the season in Jerez, a standalone event on the weekend of the Japanese Formula 1 Grand Prix, and the season finale along with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So over the line one more time, lap 4 of the 22. The race that was allotted for today was meant to run for 17 laps, and we hope that we can see the drivers show us their talents as the crowd begin to pour in to the circuit. You can still see some damp patches offline. This racetrack really did take a battering in terms of the wet weather yesterday. An unprecedented day in terms of the delay, not only for Formula 1 qualifying, but for the Formula 2 race. We have the sprint coming up for that after this outing. And for Aitken, he knows he's got to use this restart when we do get back underway to try and get past Hubert, who is not a factor for the championship. But the man that the car we're on board with is racing is George Russell at the head of the field, already with a 36-point advantage. Didn't get the chance to extend that to 40 with the washout of qualifying. Still, though, we are circulating under the safety car after the accident between Alessio Lorandi and Leo Pulcini. We await for positive word after that big hit that we ran on board with him, didn't we, as he hit the Tech Pro barrier. So for the moment, a familiar sight in GP3, George Russell at the head of the field. Russell, who has been so impressive this year with 3 victories, and he was delighted to take the points record from a GP3 weekend of 45. Didn't quite do the double, but took pole and first, second positions, along with a fastest lap in there as well, to take 45 points. A very impressive performance from him, but not quite the maximum available to him across the weekend, but he was delighted, and he's cutting a confident figure at the moment. Said he was happy with any conditions for racing, just very comfortable with the team. And he spoke about the bond that he had with the ART mechanics. Said he got that bond pretty early on and started working and feeling comfortable, and that is so important when you have a field as talented as this one. The fine margins make a difference, and if we focus in on the top 3 cars that we have in the field, the ART team, where there is so much competition in this race and in this team, in this championship, and of course ART today are in a position right now with the points as they stand to clinch the team championship for the 7th time in 8 seasons. We've only had 8 runnings of the GP3 series starting back in 2010, and ART have only lost out on 1 occasion. So Russell, speaking about that working relationship, the dominant team. There is Sebastian Philippe, the team boss of the dominant AR team outfit. Dominant, of course, as well in the past in GP2. Not quite able to match Prema so far this season in F2, but we expect them to come charging back. Of course, there's been a lot of rumors about Prema maybe entering GP3 next season. That could possibly, if we think about the impact that they had in GP2, be a big impact on ART's domination in the field. So still circulating behind the safety car after a big crash on lap 1 that eliminated Leonardo Porcini and Alessio Lorandi. The medical staff still on site, tending to the driver, and we will bring you word as soon as we have it. On first glance, it was a very unusual accident in terms of what we saw. Hearing in my ear that the driver is conscious and they are just working to extract him from the car. Russell just has to focus right now on keeping those brake temperatures up. Kari looking to send a message to the Red Bull Junior driver program, and he certainly has in the early stages. He was a big winner along with Raul Hyman in the field. So let's survey the start then. No Nairo Fukuzumi, we lost him immediately from, he didn't even make his grid slot. Huge disappointment for him. You could see Tavita having to get massively out there, and Alesi in the background having to jink out. There are the 2 Gensers at the time. It was a comfortable braking position, and here was the lockup from Arjun Maini. He was trying to make the inside of the corner. That caused the chain reaction that saw Pulcini take the polystyrene chicane. So on board with Dorian Boccolacci, we're about to get Arjun Maini down the inside. You can see a good start for Russell ahead, and then Hubert on the left-hand side. So Boccolacci knows he's got to get out of it, but wait for the Genza. Here it comes, and how Boccolacci was able to continue after being squeezed on the left-hand side by Stockhorst and on the right-hand side by Maini. They are all still running in this race, but Maini has dropped down to 14th position. This is on board with Leonardo Porcini. He's going to get squeezed to the outside here, trying to run deep and then just deciding there's no way he's going to get round that corner and taking the escape route. On board with Alessio Lorandi. So tucking in immediately, he's got his teammate directly ahead of him, already cleared the 1 car. Remember, Lorandi is out of this race along with Pulcini. Got out of it fairly early on, didn't he, into the braking zone, and you can see why. So cutting across So this is the incident. Down into the second chicane. Look for the bright blue Genza, and look at that incredible scenes as Pulcini just lifted up through the polystyrene and a big hit into the Tech Pro barrier and the tyres behind. There's the moment that he gets up over the rear wheel, but both of them rendered passengers at this stage, and here was the hit that has taken an awfully long time to extricate him from the car. On board with the Randy, you can see he's got no control at all. Somehow he didn't collect the car in front, and that was the end of his race. A huge hit as we see cars all over the road. This is going to be the telling angle then. On board with Pulcini, he'd already cut the first chicane. He's just going to be surprised. He's just not expecting in any way the de-acceleration of the Genza in front, and that was the big hit into the Tech Pro. But we would not have shown you that if the driver was all right. But that is the reason that we continue to operate behind the safety car at this stage. So 3 retirements from the race, the Randy, Pulcini and Fukuzumi. You'd see it was a sizable hit, but the driver is conscious in the car. We went on board with Lorandi into the first turn, and he was very early off the throttle. He was clearly wary of braking into turn 1, and that into the second chicane, that early liftoff is the reason why. So the reason why maybe that Leonardo Pulcini was caught out and unfortunately hit the rear of the Genza. So this is the Tech Pro at the second chicane. You can see the car has been recovered. You can see the number 6 in the background, and they have recovered everything. Everything's been shifted back. That is the point of the Tech Pro. And that looks all right to go racing anytime soon, but race control have to be happy with the conditions of the car and the conditions of the circuit, of course, if we're to go back under racing conditions. For the moment, yellow flag, safety car continues to operate around this circuit. We have completed 8 laps. Wow, that has zipped on by. 8 laps behind the safety car. And we're desperate to bring you some racing. The drivers are desperate to bring you some racing, and we're going to be able to, with the safety car in this lap, bring you an update if there is any in the race on the condition of Leo Pulcini. A reminder that he was conscious when he hit the barrier. It did take a while to get out of the car and repair the barrier. But now a crucial restart coming up for George Russell. He's faced a few so far this season. There's not a lot that he finds daunting. He's exuding confidence in every department. ART, who have won the first race of the weekend in every weekend that we've run so far. They triumphed at the start of the year with Nairei Fukuzumi in Barcelona. Then it was the turn of George Russell with back-to-back victories at the Red Bull Ring in Austria and also at Silverstone. Then Jack Aitken getting a victory on the board in Budapest. It was all about Russell bouncing back after mechanical trouble in Belgium, and that brings us right now to where we are, approaching the restart. Russell beginning to back the pack up as he heads into the Ascari chicane. Will he continue to do so on the back straight? This is going to be very telling for the outcome of the race. The safety car continues and weaving for temperature. The entire field. Remember, DRS will be disabled at this moment. Trident, who will be hoping to keep that team battle alive in the title. And George Russell has dropped the hammer. He goes, and Hubert goes with him. So no DRS at this stage, and that is going to be tough for all of them. Can Hubert close on his teammate ahead? If anything, as they go over the line, it's Aitken who is closer to second place. We're back racing here at Monza in the morning sunshine. Very close in the background there. The 2 Campos cars of Sibet and Hyman. Russell, perfect restart, able to take the lead, maintain the lead. Cars all over the road at the first turn, taking the first exit polystyrene everywhere. Stotthorst rejoining, as is, I think that's Felcher. No, it's Hyman rejoining in the background there. So not what he needed at all, but the perfect restart for Russell, who's just checking the mirrors. And now Curry and his Argentine and Stotthorst going side by side. And it's Stotthorst who just about survives. Curry having to go deep over the corner and defending now. Boccolacci, we're on board with him, trying to improve. They're battling all the time for fourth position. They're so close to contact. Are they going to avoid it? Tictum on the inside. The Red Bull Junior driver is able to improve and get past. Curry's got such a slow exit there. And we've got a Trident in the background all over the road. They're so close together now as they head down underneath the old banking bridge. We've got Kari straight ahead, Tictum on the right-hand side. We're on board with Boccolacci, who will just have to see if there's any room for him. There might have been contact there between the two. I think there is contact. It's a puncher for Dan Tictum, who's out through the gravel, and that is so disappointing for him. He ran so close to fourth position, but there's a damage there to the inside of Boccolacci once again. He can sometimes be a bit of a car magnet. The Frenchman has damage to the front wing, and unfortunately Tictum has a puncher to the rear as they sort out the order coming over the line. Hyman's going to come under massive pressure from Marcos Sibet, who's in the background and coming all the while. Stotthorst having to go on the defensive. And it's Hubert with the fastest lap. They're going left and right. It's Correa down the inside. Right, Stotthorst against Boccolacci. Let's deal with that one first. Boccolacci doesn't have the braking capacity and jumps the chicane. We haven't had a lap yet around this circuit for GP3 where they've all managed to take the actual racetrack. Right, Boccolacci feathering the throttle. Something coming off his car there that was fairly sizable debris back into the path of the other cars. Not what you want to see at all. Stotthorst fending off Correa, and it's just continuing. Another driver off. This is what happens when you cage the GP3 lot for a day, and they're all over the road. Stotthorst, I don't know how, but he has maintained that position. So Correa in the background, then it's Hyman on board with Boccolacci, who has the damage to that front wing on lap 10 of this race, slightly longer than we would normally run on a Sunday. So he has found himself, unfortunately, with contact again. That has been a tenet of his early season. Correa having to go to the defensive line to fend off Raul Hyman, who, remember, Hyman started in 15th position. He's got himself further up the order at the moment. It's an ART 1, 2, 3. Then we've got Nico Kari in fourth. So this was Stotthorst and Kari, the two teammates, but you wouldn't know it the way he was forced over, and he just kept his foot in as they went over. And this is the race leader making a mistake going wide there, and look how close it got. That wasn't the puncher, that was Kari getting ahead of his teammate, as well as Boccolacci and Tictum. But Kari then got a terrible acceleration, and this is what happened between Boccolacci and Tictum. This is how Tictum got the puncher, wait for it, there it is. There really just wasn't enough room for the three cars to go through the corner. Tictum through the gravel, Boccolacci with major problems, and when he got down to turn number 1, he was not able to slow the car, taking the easy way out. Also, Stotthorst running wide, and the Campos as well. And there's a change for the lead! A change for the lead immediately with DRS enabled. Antoine Hubert has got past George Russell. We saw a hint of Russell struggling through this Lesmo corner earlier on, and it's Hubert, the only driver this season to lead a lap but not win a race, who finds himself in the lead. And you can see how much Russell is struggling on that AstroTurf going wide through the Lesmos, and that of course is compromising his exit from the corner. Action in the middle, action at the front, a change for the lead, and Russell, we haven't seen this too many times with Boccolacci, who has changed his nose and now needs an absolute miracle to be able to get back in contention for this race, even though it is the longer version of the weekend. Kari is in the background, and we've got Stotthorst operating in 5th position, Correa in 6th, Hyman in 7th, Siebert in 8th. Remember, it is the longer race of the weekend, so we've got Giuliano Alesi, who's progressed tonight, and the final point scorer at the moment, the bright blue Genza of Arjun Maini. Calderon is fighting her way through. She said it's been a few mistakes on her part and a little bit of bad luck. Now we're looking at car number 10, Giuliano Alesi. as Hubert continues to set a searing pace, and Stotthorst goes for the defensive. This is the battle for 5th position. Big lock up there. Wow, how on earth did he avoid his teammate Marcos Sibert running it to the very limit? But we're focusing now on Falchero. Battles all the way through the field. And off in the background there, another Dams car. Right, Correa versus Stotthorst at the second chicane. Remember how uncompromising Stotthorst was with his teammate. He's not going to be friendly to another driver. Stotthorst is just going to hug the inside line. So close to contact between the two of them. Oh, he might force him off the road. As we see the top three so close together, we'll go back and find out what happened to Correa and Stotthorst, but it didn't look like it was going to end well, did it? Very close together now, the top three. Right, 4th position, the only driver having a calm race at the moment. Look, they're getting the tyres on the AstroTurf, and it's causing so much wheel spin for them as they come away there. Wow, frenetic stuff. GP3 is always incredible at Monza, but this is something else. So, the Campos ahead. Then we have Correa. So this was down into turn 2. Remember, Stotthorst at the time was in 5th position. Correa trying to improve. Correa just keeping his foot in. How on earth they didn't make contact, and Stotthorst in the gravel, losing an absolute hatful of places. That's going to drop him down to the very bottom of the points. Now, does Russell have a run on the race leader? Car number 7 is going to be investigated. That is Stein Stotthorst, who has already dropped down. Russell going to the inside. Can he take the race lead? Back away from Antoine Hubert. He can for the moment. A classy move into turn 1 to retake the lead for George Russell. And they're still battling in the background. Contact! Huge hit! An enormous accident there between the two Gensers. And Correa has lost a wheel. Under braking, he hits his teammate Arjun Maini, and Genza are left with 1 car in the race after 2 massive accidents, and that will surely require a virtual safety car at the very least. Hyman ahead of Sibert, then Alesi. Stotthorst dropping down. He had dropped down to 11th out of the points, but we have now lost Correa, who was just surprised by the overspeed that he had. We've got Maini ahead of Correa. Stotthorst trying to improve up from 11th position, but in the braking zone, watch the latter car just ripping a wheel off. Huge overspeed, and he just wasn't prepared for the deacceleration of Maini in front, and Correa, well, that is a scary, scary accident, and he is very lucky he didn't spear straight into the wall. Look at this, wheel off. The wheel tether doing its job brilliantly, a testament to the Dallara-built GP316. But, my word, we have seen some absolute chaos so far in this race. A reminder, with the virtual safety car deployed. So we're looking at the second batch there. That is Nico Kari in 4th position. We have an all-ART battle that has swapped between Hubert and Russell, and they all have to go. Look how close they are. The ARTs, 1, 2, and 3, nose to tail. Aitken knows that it's so very close to being able to get on terms, and look at the debris. So that's got to be from Correa's car, and we have debris on the circuit. The classification: Russell, Hubert, Aitken, and then Kari and Hyman. Sibert Alesi now from 13th on the grid up to 7th. That's the sort of customary move that he has been able to make so far. And he usually gets himself into the top 8 at some point, which allows him to compete in the second race. The problem for Giuliano is that there is no second race this weekend, so he can't be king of a race that doesn't exist. We're running on board with Aitken. So look at this huge hit. Just not able to slow the car down. Correa, the American driver, racing under an Italian license here, so officially his home race, but you could see just destroyed the suspension. And this was Aitken, P3 at the time. A lock up there for his teammate ahead, Hubert, as he tries to get back on terms with Russell, the race leader. And remember, the virtual safety car can be withdrawn at any time, and Hubert is preparing the car for that eventuality. Aitken hoping for drama ahead between his two teammates. Remember what we saw on Sunday in GP3 last year, Leclerc and Fukuzumi coming together right about here. So it is possible for the ARTs to collide, but they do not want to incur the wrath of team principal Sebastian Philippe. The incident involving Correa under investigation. If he hasn't had some sort of failure, and there's no evidence to suggest that he has, he will be taking a penalty at the next race. Remember, only his third outing today in GP3, and of course at the fastest average lap speed of the year here in the 8-round series of GP3. Here is Alessio Lorandi, unfortunately for him, watching with the rest of us, seeing himself on the screen and shaking the head, getting a little bit of encouragement, but he would have felt that there was a real chance. Had a pretty disappointing weekend by his standards. And we have a look at the DRS remaining. Remember, they get 6 uses in the first race of the weekend, so they have to use it tactically. The idea, of course, with DRS is to bring them into the braking zone, not to take them immediately past. There are 2 DRS zones around this racetrack, and they are all running the soft Pirelli tyre. So degradation is a factor, but less of a factor around here with the fact that there aren't that many high-speed corners. It's all about the braking. It's more the braking emphasis around here. There are 3 heavy stops, unsurprisingly, all in to the chicanes, but only 6 real braking points around the circuit, 11 corners around here, and now nervy moments for the ART pit wall, because they've got their remaining cars in this race line astern, and 2 of them very much in the title battle. Aitken knows that he needs a storming finish. Aitken, who finished in 2nd position in this race a year ago. He was also 5th in the 2nd race, so his customary strong run at Monza continuing. And now the virtual safety car is going to end in a really terrible place for George Russell. And when is he going to drop the hammer? Aitken pulling alongside so he can accelerate when he needs to, and we're back racing once again. Russell's going to get swallowed first by Hubert, and now with the car that we're on board with, Russell could find himself down in 3rd position. They're 3 wide down the iconic main straight at Monza, and Aitken has gone from 3rd to 1st. He's now defended. Hubert has to come out of it, and Russell's going to try and retake the lead around the outside, but it's Aitken the big winner at the virtual safety car restart. He was ready for that, and he's taken the lead. So Russell down to 2nd, Hubert down to 3rd, and the ART is getting very close together. Aitken knows it as they go to the fastest turn on this racetrack. That's Curva Grande. He'll have to hug the inside line. Does Russell dare go around the outside into the 2nd chicane, the Della Roja? No, he's going to try and hope that he can switch back this time, and with the greater momentum, accelerate away and try and back pressure him. This is where the ARTs crashed a year ago, and they're so close to doing so again. Aitken just about doing enough as they went through into the Lesmo. Hubert just watching and waiting and hoping for that mega toe. Good exit through the 2nd Lesmo for Aitken. He's got his teammate very close together. DRS has not been enabled for the moment. Of course, they will get it next time around. Thinking about the move, you're never going to go through in the Ascari chicane. It's all about the run, all about getting closer, all about pressuring your rival into that corner. What a sensational race between the 3 ARTs. Aitken has had the lead for a few laps. Russell's had the lead for a few laps. Hubert has been in the lead as well. And it's a pretty decent impression of the Formula 1 racing that we used to see here in the 70s. Deep breath. Are there any fingernails left on that pit wall? I doubt it. They're used to running at the front, but not quite like this. Over the line then, it's going to be a great run for George Russell. The lead currently belongs to Jack Aitken, but for how much longer? As we go into the latter stages, Aitken knows he needs to defend. The 2 title protagonists going side by side. Who is going to be able to break latest? It's still Aitken with the inside line. It's still Aitken with the lead, but for how much longer? Because his teammate is pressuring him all the way through. Aitken just about hanging on. He's going to have to go tight to the inside line. He's going to it's the outside now, but it turns into the inside for the chicane. Is Russell able to improve? He's got the lead for the moment, but can he be the last of the late breakers and maintain it? No! Aitken, is he going to get it slowed down? Just about. Superb action, but look at the exit for Russell, who's got the inside line, and the battle goes corner for corner for corner. But now the lead belongs to George Russell, the points leader, back in front. But you couldn't call which way this one is going to finish, because they are changing and swapping all the time. Amazing racing. Can Russell now make a break for it after he took the lead with a better exit, forced his rival to the tighter line, confident on the traction out of turn number 2, and the lead swapping once again. So 1, 2, 3, and Russell weaving about. That's not to warm tyres, that's to try and break the toe. They're not racing directly for position, so he is allowed to do that, trying to break the slipstream, and I think he might have been able to do so there, because it looks a good exit. But remember, without DRS, they're running that slightly lower wing, the slightly thicker wing at the back. DRS being used by the 2 cars behind. It's more drag from the GP3 car in 2017. On board with Aitken in second position, who's forced his rival to lock up. Will he make the corner? Oh, he did, just about. Thought he was going to scamper on through the polystyrene chicane and sort it out on the exit, but impressive stuff. And Aitken not able to make the move. Aitken does have 5 DRS uses available, so he's saving it all for the latter stages. For the moment, it's Russell. But you have a feeling that this is going to go all the way to the checkered flag. So Arjun Maini with damage to the rear wing. You can see there Arjun Maini's rear wing flapping around, and that's allowed Stein Stotthorst to improve. Stotthorst now is up to 6th position in this race. Oh, big moment there for Hubert. You can't afford many of those. You've got to stay away from the AstroTurf on the exit of the Lesmos, because it's clearly soaking wet and providing no grip at all. Big oversteering moments for everyone who's put their car on the AstroTurf. Big lap this for Russell, because he's trying to break away. Remember, he needs an advantage of a second to get out of the DRS zone. Furrowed brows, because ART know that they're on the brink of the team's title. They had to outscore Trident by many points today. Not that many, though. They needed 9 more going into the one race weekend. And that was a superb response from Russell, but he doesn't have the DRS, and he's having to check the wing mirrors as a result. Left and right, where's the teammate? He's coming all the time. Is he going to try a late braking move? No, but he's right tight to him. Unable to force Russell onto the defensive, though. And if you're braking on the racing line, it's going to be a big ask for the driver that we're on board with. We are going to time here after such a long period behind the safety car for that big smash at the start, and the virtual safety car for the second huge accident that we've had, both involving Genza drivers. Aitken, with the use of DRS, getting it down to under half a second, but it's so close. Half a second, now a second, separating the top 3. Hubert, does he have the tyres? Just dropping back at this point. The black and white flag has been issued for our race leader. George Russell has been warned. So that has been for cutting the second chicane so far. I'm amazed that the black and orange flag has not been issued. Oh, and that is why. That is why. That rear wing was wobbly for the entire lap before. Race control looking at exactly the same pitch as we are, and there was no need for it to end like that for Arjun Maini. He could have been called to the pits, but he wasn't, and thankfully that debris not getting in the way of any driver in front. Super frustration for Maini. A dreadful day. He's still shedding parts. Still shedding parts. He clearly needed to be pulled back to the pits, and we have so much debris on the racetrack that might need to be a virtual safety car or a full safety car, and might rob us of an amazing finish. Alesi and Calderon are racing 8th and 9th right now. You can see Calderon with terrific pace to fight from the back Tatiana started in 19th position. She's now racing for 8th. Virtual safety car involving Dan Tickton will be investigated afterwards. Alesi feigning the defensive move, but able to keep Calderon behind. Alesi, who is used to the top step on the last 3 GP3 Sundays, he's been on that top step with 1 minute and 8 seconds to go until we start the final lap of the race. Remember the rule, we will start the final lap when the clock hits 0. So 1 tour after we hit 0. Calderon thinking about a move to the inside, not quite. Has Russell done enough on that lap after he passed Aitken to extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship? Calderon giving great chase here. Was running in the points until contact last year, and this was the rear wing. Think of the speed they're doing going down this straight. Such a fast lap here. 301 kilometers, the fastest that we saw last year, 187 miles an hour, and sizable debris all over the racetrack. Not what you want to see, and arguably entirely avoidable. Look at that, look at the pieces hanging off the back of that car. They are so close together. Right, here we go then, into the final stages. This should be the penultimate lap of the race. We should have another one at the end of this one if the rules are being followed. Jack Aitken knows that if he's going to be a factor in this title battle, he's got to take points away. It's 36 at the moment. He's trying to lessen that, and he's had a brilliant lap in doing so to get back on terms. That DRS particularly effective. The car just in front. Will he risk a late lunge? Will he be able to get himself into the position of a late lunge as he goes through the first Lesmo? Got to stay away from the AstroTurf on the exit. Russell has learned that as the race has gone on. You can see just a little bit on there, but you can't go too deep. Hubert did a few laps ago, and he's dropped back from this battle. It is going to be a performance that seals things for the ART team. Oh, and another car in the wall, and that will surely seal victory with a car in the middle of the Lesmos, I think it is. Not entirely sure, pulling out. Yes, it is, in the middle of the Lesmos. Nico Kari has run for so long in this race, and he's going to get wide. He's going to get on the AstroTurf, and that is why you wanted to avoid it. Kari all the way in 4th, but out of the race to promote Sibert Stotthorst to Vita, and the safety car is deployed as they go on to the final lap of the race. There will be no last lap battle. George Russell is going to take his 4th victory of the season behind the safety car. Aitken's chase that he would have been preparing, unable to be unleashed. Hubert making it a 1-2-3, and it means that ART have 7 of the 8 GP3 team championships. They, ART, are champions in 2017, but it's George Russell who has taken another major step to claiming the driver's title in 2017 with a race where he was put under enormous pressure, first of all by Antoine Hubert, then by his teammate Aitken. But he was able to withstand that pressure, weather the storm, and Russell just has to keep going to cross the line. We've seen cars in the gravel, we've seen wheels ripped off, a horrible accident on the first lap, and after a frenetic race, which was just every bit as crazy as we saw in the wet with Formula 2 yesterday, GP3 providing entertainment, not all of it good today, but luckily we have all of the drivers safe after a fast and furious race. Russell is going to triumph in. So we did not get the last lap battle because Kari, unchallenged, you have to say, fighting the Tech Pro, just as Lewis Hamilton did in 2009 in the Grand Prix. And so the final order will see Marcos Sibert improve to 4th position from 11th on the grid. Ryan Tavita is going to finish in 6th from 17th on the grid. He's got past his teammate as well. It's going to be first points of the season for Stotthorst and Calderon, which mean that all of our regular drivers are going to score, and we will have 20 point scorers in 2017, showing how competitive this series is. But even with that competition, it's a brilliant day for the French team ART, who are one corner away from clinching the team's championship. Confirmation there. They have done it, or at least they're about to. Once again, high expectations for the team. They're about to become champions, and George Russell hasn't had a bigger fight for victory all season long. Aitken wasn't sure whether he was going back into the pits. You've got to go across the line, which George Russell does. George Russell takes the checkered flag to win at Monza and extend his championship lead. He is looking every bit the champion in 2017. His teammates gave him such a hard time, but it's victory again, the fourth of the season for the driver from Great Britain. The boy from Norfolk, the man from Norfolk, has triumphed in the Monza sunshine, and that was a thrilling 40 minutes of racing. Russell able to soak up the applause from the fans. Aitken heading straight back. He knew he had the lead in his grasp, but unable to keep his title rival behind. There he is, returning to the pits. But the most important thing after those two big crashes is that after the Jensers are all involved in big, hairy moments, with the rear wing coming off Maney's car, a big crash between Leo Pulcini and Alessio Lorandi, and that massive smash against his teammate for Correa. As we see Russell head back to the pits, the winner. And he had to work for it, and you can see how pumped up inside the car he is. Wonderful to see. And the British driver who is racing his compatriot, the South Korean British driver in Jack Aitken, who we ride on board with. Second last year in this race, second again in the main points-paying race, and the only one we're running, unfortunately. I could certainly do with seeing a second race around this circuit, given what we've seen, but that's all we've got from GP3 as Aitken runs left and right to try and collect the marbles, but there's not much out there, hardly any degradation for the drivers today. And Aitken takes another 7 points. It's now 43, his advantage. Very handy indeed. And it gives him the opportunity to clinch things in Jerez. As the marshals, who were here very early indeed and had to really endure horrible conditions yesterday, here early again today and warmly applauding the British driver who's come out on top. Another victory for ART. They continue this incredible run of winning every major race of the weekend, the first race of every weekend so far this season with their four drivers. It looked like Hubert, with those early fast laps, might be finally time for him to climb onto the top step, but still his weight goes on. The only driver this season to lead a lap but not win a race. But you knew Russell was going to be in contention all the way through. And he did not have to face that late challenge because of Kari spinning off. And Marcos Siebert was the main beneficiary there. Siebert, who has only scored 1 points finish so far this season, and he now scores a personal best in the series and a hatful of points for fourth place. Ryan Tavita was fifth, and Lacey was sixth. Calderon with her best ever performance in seventh. But it's all about this driver here, George Russell, exclaiming yes, punching the air and congratulating his champion team in 2017. Great scenes You see the representatives there from the Mercedes Junior program that he is a part of.